team like Georgia, and having to shoulder a big load. Possibly on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of grade would you give him as far as how he handled it, and how valuable was that experience that he got?
For Marquand, that was, I'd probably give him a 7. Definitely some room to improvement, but I thought he had definitely held his own. Did a nice job, coming off of Missouri. I thought he, again, elevated his level of play. In both those games, he's performed well for us. Obviously there's some things he can do better, but the amount of reps that he had to take in those 2 games, met or exceeded my expectations. So was pleased there with it. And I think it was really valuable for him. And, I think it was important for our entire defense to understand that, we've got 2 really good quality nose guards, in Quentin and Marquand, that we can roll, and we can be dominant with inside. And, that's good for us in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, it sounds like that Vanderbilt is kind of gradually improving on the offensive side of the ball. What have you seen from them lately that kind of concerns you or poses some threats to the defense this week?
Well, yeah, they I think Coach had mentioned it earlier this week. They had a really, a quality game against Mississippi State. The 5 turnovers hurt them, but they moved the ball consistently. Anytime you get almost 500 yards of offense, you're doing some good things, and they've got decent balance between the run and the pass. Been really impressed with to be a true freshman quarterback, doing a really nice job operating in their system. Their system's really been, allowed him to be efficient, in his throws. He does a nice job getting the ball out on time. And he's grown, through the season. You see from the early games to where he is now, you can see he's more comfortable. They will play with some tempo to their offense. Their run game's really been, a highlight for them. I think 21 Brooks is a really talented young back. He does a nice job both, not just on the ground, but, I think he's their second leading receiver as well. Does a nice job. Really soft hands out of the backfield. They can go to some empty sets. So they pose, quite a few different things for us that, that we have to be able to manage. We have to stop the run. We have to try to get Seals, out of rhythm.
Josh?
Brad, your all's bye week started, I guess, technically on that on Halloween, and everybody's kind of, it's at least that's the popular weekend to kind of pinpoint the start of all the problems kind of popping up along the conference. So I just bring that up to ask, really, with that in mind, has it been harder to motivate guys recently as far as staying focused on that front, or anything like that?
Haven't had any issues there. With the focus, I think, no different than when we were talking, before, our week 3 game at Mississippi State. Anytime you're coming off of 2 losses, there's not much you need to do, for motivation. If you can't get motivated to get the thing turned around, then you're playing the wrong sport, and quite frankly, you're playing in the wrong defense. For our guys, we know what we have to get done, and it's get a win by any means necessary this week. And so the focus, I thought we had a really good bye week. I thought there was good energy there. I think the guys have been focused this week. They understand that we got a really good football team coming in Saturday, that we're going to have to play, at our best, to do what we want to do. We talk about, identity and standard, and it's important to us. It's important that we show up ready to go and play 60 minutes of really good football. and it's about getting our feet in the ground. We talk about all the time, when we're on here, every Wednesday when I come in here, it's about getting our feet, getting aligned, getting our eyes in the right spot, executing the defense, playing violently, playing with your hands, down in and down out. And that's not going to change this week. It's not going to change the week after. But from a focus standpoint, I feel like our guys are dialed in. But now we need to show up on Saturday and improve it.
John Hale.
Brad, during that bye week, were there any young guys in particular that you were able to get an extended look at as you work some of those guys in that maybe have earned a larger role down the stretch?
Yeah, that's always the nice thing about a bye week. You're obviously able to play, for two reasons. One, you've got that extra time, and two, a lot of times, after six grueling games, some of those guys that have been starters, need just to get a little bit of time to rest their body or, lick their wounds a little bit. So you can play some of those younger guys throughout practice. I'm really looking forward to seeing, us play Vito more snaps. I think he's obviously started to grow into our system, get a little bit more understanding of, his job responsibility. Obviously, we know what he can bring in terms of, having some twitch and sort of a dynamic playmaking ability to him. Seeing those young D linemen, again, get more and more reps has been good. And then those linebackers, that from an inside backer perspective, to see Bembry and Casey and De'Eric Jackson, was good to get them more extended time.
Larry.
Brett, just to follow up a little bit on Vito, what is there about him that keeps you so excited about his future? And I know before the season started, you thought he could be special. You feel even stronger about that now after what you've seen of him the last 7 or 8 weeks?
Well, absolutely. And I think nothing has diminished. It's not about sort of the number of snaps he's played, up to this point. It's looking at what he can be as a player in the future as he develops within this system and as he gets comfortable and he gets his feet, underneath him. It's kind of no different than a little bit like J.J. Weaver last year, in that you saw those flashes and he was able to get into some games and make some plays. And then you've really seen him this year start to blossom, and he'll continue to do that. I think, Vito's got that sort of that same trajectory. And again, it's not a simple defense that we run. There's some complexities to it. There's moving parts, and offenses these days don't make it any easier because they don't just live in a stagnant world. There's shifts, there's motions, there's fly motion, there's orbit motions, there's different route concepts, different run concepts. And it's a lot, for a true freshman, and especially, at a position that Vito plays. But again, it's starting to slow down a little bit for him, and but we never just want to take that ball player out of him.
All right, we've got time for a couple more. We got Yusuf is here, John Clay, and then Nick Rouse. John, go ahead.
Brad, there's a lot of talk about what the offense wanted to get accomplished over the bye week. What about the defense? What did you want to get accomplished over this time?
Well, for us, we're always about trying to get cleaner in our execution. Obviously, we need to hone in, on third down. There's been some opportunities, to get off on third down. That was a focus for us. But I think across the board, just looking at ourselves, and say, what have we done well? What do we need to improve on? Where have we given up leaky yards? Where have we potentially given up explosive plays? And that you're going to get, attacked in those areas throughout a season. And so we focused on those again, and a lot of those came down to, a missed assignment here, or a missed alignment, or bad eyes. And again, those are going to happen in football. but we have to try to minimize them as much as we can. And, and we really focused on all those little details, because it's those little details that'll make the difference. And if we can get those things cleaned up, we got a chance to be pretty good down the stretch, hopefully.
Nick,
You got into the details there, but I think if you looked at the stats, the one stat that isn't near the top of the SEC would be tackles for loss and sacks. What do you got to do to produce more of those kind of havoc plays? You're getting them in interceptions, just not behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you know what? There's a combination there. Obviously, I know a lot of people have pointed to that, and obviously from the position I coach and my background, that's one of those you'd love to see those numbers higher. But like anything else, it's give and take, and it's as much on me, and maybe the calls that I'm calling, and then less on the players there. There's some times that I could probably be a little bit more aggressive, but then at other times we've got to understand that, if I've given the green light to have a two-way go on a tackle, we've got to take advantage of that. And, we haven't, in certain instances. So I think there's plenty of that to go around, whether it's the play call, whether it's, winning my one-on-one up front as a player. And, we've had a couple of instances where, if we were a little bit stickier in the coverage, we've had plenty of opportunities. The guy that comes to mind is, you feel bad a little bit for Phil Hoskins. Phil's been in the backfield, ready for a sack. I'm 5, 6, 7, 8 times this year. And if we were just a little bit closer in our coverage, or we were a little bit this or that, he gets a sack. And so those things don't show up on a stat sheet. And that comes down to those little details across the board. So it happens at all levels. We've got to pass rush better. We understand that, but we've got to be a little bit stickier in our coverage when that time comes. And I've got to be more aggressive at times to try to create a little bit more, in terms of some free runners.
all right, guys, we'll get Yusuf on here in just a second.